trees, you're a tree. Short, squatty trees, olive
you're a
bush.
little cactus.
Redwood, bitch.
Not redwood, whitewood maybe. Whoa.
Get back in their butt.
You know what you should do on Gizz, Lazlo?
I'm just Paul.
And welcome to episode
3,290.
22. Yeah. Been going through all our episodes, and we're right around 130 episodes.
That's not bad for a couple
3
of
years.
years. Watching.
And do you want to start off with my little speech, or do you want to start off with how we're doing?
Let's go with your speech.
Okay, this week I got a few messages, and again, like I wish I could say, our messages are, like positive, but there's a few fucking stragglers out there, and they're friends of mine, from, my childhood, and they're not in bands. It's what's really fucking pisses me off, but fucking a lot of the bullshit that I get is I don't know what the fuck this is right here.
I don't know what happened. You don't have to look at yourself.
But I want to see him when he comes in, and I can't see him.
Okay, well, wait till.
So anyway, the thing that's starting to piss me off, and it shouldn't, is the fact that I get complaints every fucking week about, the sack, this, that, the other thing. One that pissed me off this week is like, dude, you guys barely have anybody watch you guys live. Why do you guys do it? The thing is that this isn't about, our show isn't about like promoting bands that are, what they're doing this week. If they're promoting a record or they're promoting a tour. We really don't cover bands. We cover the individual, and their story. So, I don't know how many times I gotta fucking say it. Is that, that if you don't like it, you don't need to watch it. First of all. Second of all, we're here to document our friend's story. This isn't about you. If you're not in a band, what the fuck do you? What are you bitching about? You're here to see the people that you like and the bands that you like.
Input volume up?
The
input volume, is that good?
It's not picking up that.
So we're not sounding?
They can hear you,
Okay.
but you're echoey and distant.
And so, like this week, it just I
We do this because we love doing it.
Yeah,
It's as simple as that. We want to record these stories and have fun with this. We're not Joe Rogan, clearly.
Yeah.
We're way too good shape for that.
So if you don't like it, you don't gotta fucking watch.
Yeah.
And again, like this isn't about people watching right now because we're not releasing something exclusive.
Right. Then we get like hundreds of millions of views after the fact.
Yeah. And that's what it's about. Like you get to watch this whenever the fuck you want. We do it on Mondays because this is when we have time. This is our therapy session. This is when we're here. We're here every Monday at 7 to do our fucking show. And that's it. Like fucking, I just don't get it. Like, everybody's always got to fucking try to piss on my parade. I don't know why it affected me this week, as much as it did. But, so.
I'm talking to you this time.
Well, you were looking at me.
Well, no, I wasn't.
Well, your lazy eye was.
I don't have a lazy eye.
Yes,
My eyes
you
are
do.
both full of ambition.
Uh,
I agree. Like this is something that actually we're not expecting to like get rich off this and retire. This is costing money. We're having fun doing it, and that's all that really matters. So if you don't like it, don't watch it.
And again, like, what other podcast kind of just does what we do, where we just interview our friends to get their fucking story. That's the whole purpose of why we do this show. It's just to get, an individual story. Of course we talk about the band in the process, but it's not about, like tonight, it's not about Bridge the Gap. It's about Shon, his story. Maybe at, towards the end of the year, next season, we'll get somebody else from the band in. But for right now, today it's all about Shon, and me.
Yeah.
So, all right, there's my rant. How was your week?
Pretty good. Kind of mellow, actually. I've got like some fine carpentry to do, and I'm just taking too much time. But watching a lot of World Cup. I mean, I think I've seen almost every match
Wow.
at this point. Like, it's every 4 years. I can't help myself at all. I was just going to kill you for that. No, don't do it. So yeah, having an okay week. My sleep schedule's been off. My food schedule's getting back on. What?
Just going through there, not those.
Oh, they're going through the computer mic. Huh.
So what does that mean?
They can hear you. It just
Should we
sounds
connect the
like-
wirelesses?
Where are they?
I don't know. I haven't moved them. Anyways, yeah, it's been good. It's been kind of mellow. I've been doing a little bit here and there around the house, cleaning up, around the shop, and I don't. It's fun to have a little bit of downtime, but I'm ready to get back to work. I had 1 day of intestinal nap. Other than that, I think I'm fine. How'd you do?
This week I've been, working on trying to get the rest of our season booked. We only have, I think, 6 more dates to book, and then we're done for the season. Every day or every Monday is already booked, like I said, except for the last 6 weeks. And I'm having fun. I'm already working on season 4.
Did you ever think you'd make it to season 4 with anybody?
What's that?
Did you ever think you would make it to season 4?
No, I to be honest, I didn't think we would make it through season 1. I thought, maybe you would get bored of it, But I think the more and more we were doing it, by mid-season, I was like, dude, he's really into this.
It's fun.
And season 2, I had no qualms about it. I was like, okay, I think we're going to make it to season 3. The only thing I think with season 3 is that there was so much shit happening at the beginning of this year.
Yeah, it was crazy.
That you getting back to work, me busy touring and being busy, that we didn't get a chance to we haven't really even finished our set yet. And I maybe we'll have it done by the end of the season, but I think next season will be a lot better. I think we might change our format up a little bit next season, but we'll be talking about that. But again, man, this is fun. I know I have fun. On Sundays I get really excited about Mondays because that's where I do a lot of the promoting to get everything. Because again, it's about we record our episodes and then whoever watches it can watch it at their leisure. You can watch it during the week or watch it next week. I know some people save them up and they watch on Saturday they'll watch 4 or 5 episodes.
I wonder who that is. That's awesome.
And I know there's a lot of new viewers who will, they'll skip through all 3 seasons just going, oh, I know that guy and I know who that is. I know who that is. And they'll binge, our show, which is actually kind of cool. And that's the whole thing about it, Yeah. So, with that being said, that my week was all right. 4th of July was a little weird for me. It didn't come off as I thought it should.
I hate the holiday.
But
it's never done me any favors. I'll say that.
Oh yeah. Well, I know both you and I have been arrested.
Yeah,
on 4th of
multiple
July.
times. Due to no fault of my own once. The other time, well, but he had it coming. Anyways, it's been so close. We're actually waiting on a sound thing and we can't see Shon.
Yeah.
Can we scoot the thing over so we can see him?
I don't know this computer.
Yeah, okay.
We're using a new computer today, just so we could get.
We're retooling as it were. Can you attach the mics to your computer?
I don't know.
Wow.
It already is.
Alrighty.
That's not picking up. But they can hear you.
As long as they can hear us.
All right.
You're a little echoey, but
Whatever. It's better than it has been. I mean, seriously, we're using a computer that's 15 years old that we wiped. It's got an 8 gig processor and
Wow. I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, I know. It's like riding a moped instead of a sport bike, basically.
Can we get the settings thing off and then our guest in?
Very testicle difficulties. Just one.
All right.
There he is.
You usually have a long intro and I introduce you, but I can't.
That's okay. That's okay. Nice. I like that.
A micro ball.
A micro ball? Looks like I'm bald.
You kind of are.
So, Shon, how you doing, man?
I'm great. I'm great. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Dude, thank you for doing it. I met Shon last year at the Corbin Bowl when you guys were doing some shows with Too Bad Eugene, and I
Yes,
saw
sir.
that. I walked in, and I said hi to him. I sat down. You joined us. Sat down. I got a beer and a pretzel, and immediately
Giant
talking about
pretzel.
and that's when you told me you were a chef, and then we sat down for about an hour. You, me, and Adam, and I thoroughly enjoyed just having you part of our conversation and got to know you really well. And you guys played. I heard you guys obviously online.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons I really wanted to be at that show. And dude, you guys killed it live.
Yeah.
Everybody in your band is fucking amazing. And when we were hooking you up for the show, it was weird and coincidental that you guys were recording a new album out in Colorado at the world famous, blasting room.
Yeah.
Like, geez, I wish I could record there.
Yeah. It's such a rad place. I think you inevitably just play better and focus a little harder, knowing that punk rock history, those albums that you look back to and look forward to hearing that have come out of here. It's such a special thing. Maybe at the end we can do the Walk of Fame and just go by some of the albums that have been recorded and produced. And yeah, it's a special place. And I mean, like, it's the place and the gear, but the guys that work here, those humans are what make us sound amazing. So yeah, it's an honor to be here for sure.
It takes a touch, right? Like, they got to be into it and really want to put some
Yeah, we were just talking, like, the amount of hyper focus and the time, like when you're the one tracking, you can, you're in it and you're doing stuff. So like the time, sometimes I'm like, it's like the Twilight Zone, because the temperature never changes, the lighting never changes, and like days pass, and you have no way to like judge time. But the engineers that are sitting there, like, pass after pass, trying to get the best sound, trying to get the best performance. We were just saying, like, those guys are the superheroes that, we get to wander in and out. We get to be the ones to go take a drink, and clear our heads, and they're in there still punching keys, trying to get everything lined up, get ready for the next take. So anyway, hats off to right now it's Colton, who is a phenomenal guitar player in his own right, but he's the one that's in tracking our drums, and then Bill's producing this. Then we'll get some of the other engineers as we go through the instruments.
There was a band that I know. I don't want to mention them, but we were talking about them when they recorded at Blasting Room, and I believe it was Bill. He was tracking the guitar player, I believe, and he's obviously, you haven't rehearsed enough. Go back, to where you're staying, and polish your parts up, and then come back tomorrow. And, wasn't having it. He's like, if you're gonna do this, you got to do it right. Go practice, And,
yeah, he's a serious dude. I mean, it's amazing. Like, he's got perfect pitch. He hears like the symphony in his head. So you're going through, focusing on your part, and then you see like that come together at the end, and you're like, Bill, thanks for like running alongside us and making us feel like champions, because this sounds amazing. So yeah, he definitely isn't afraid. I mean, one of my favorite Bill stories is my interview, let's say, my audition for singing backups with Chad, because people don't know, but a lot of times backups, because like tight harmonies and stuff are hard to hit, and usually the lead singer, who is the only one that's even kind of trained or kind of practiced to perform, will sing their own tight harmonies. And Chad was like, dude, if you could do it, he had done a few. And he's like, man, if you could step up to the plate and help me out on those, it'd really save my voice so I can get through the whole record. And to have a beautiful grown man come and put his hands on each side of your like shoulder and get real close and say, and start to sing you a lullaby. is a pretty intimate scenario. And then he goes, okay, now Shon, sing to me. And then you have to like sing something back to him. And then he'll have you do like row, row, row your boat and a couple like nursery rhymes so he can see if you like have like pitch memory. But it was, it was a tender moment, and it was a little bit like getting naked in front of Bill. But then once you pass the test, I mean, there's no way to know like how grueling it is, but Bill doesn't cheat. Like there's no like there's no automation in like, oh, let's just capture that, move it over to the other side, change the time signature just a little bit so you get a little bit of chorusing. Like you track every single tight harmony, you track every single double, you're on both sides. And we have like names for it now, like in the studio, but yeah, it's he's an amazing dude. And then his stories, I mean, starting with like Black Flag all the way through all Descendants, Lemonheads, Only Crime, like, and then all the tours. Like, it's probably, I mean, it's like punk rock daycare for us because we're just like, okay, tell us another story, Bill. And he's like, should we track the album, guys? And we're like, yeah, okay, I guess. But yeah, he's a rad dude.
The juice box. Yay, Bill.
Yeah. We packed a lunch in a juice box, and we got a little blanket that we like sit on for story time.
Milk and cookie time. Sucking on your thumb.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say that because when just about every record I've done as a singer for the last 10, 15 years, I don't trust anybody doing any backing vocals or harmonies because it just, I've been asked, hey, man, can I go sing my part? I do a lot. It's like, I wouldn't mind you doing it, but, I know how much we struggle to get you to do it live. And I just don't want to spend that much time,
Yeah, time is money in the studio, and I think that's the big thing is that it's a real trust fall when you step up to that plate and you're gonna like put it on a record that you've invested a lot of time in, like you said, and then also just the financial investment to be out here. We're all based in Utah, so SLC punk rock. We grew up in a little tiny town down south, St. George. Like grew up meaning like that's where we all kind of started our punk band careers. I actually was more in like a metal. I wanted to play punk, but all the kids I knew only knew metal, so I was lost somewhere in the metal side. But yeah, it was good. So yeah, we're from where I live, I'm like like a 12-hour drive, I guess. So we're out here, Fort Collins, Colorado.
So punk rock career speaking that we usually go do this anyways is like where did it all kind of start for you? Like what was the impetus to pick up an instrument and like be a part of the band, not the crowd?
So the band thing came a lot later on. My impetus was my mom threatening me that she paid a lot of money for that violin, and I was going to hold it under my chin whether I wanted to or not. So I think I started playing instruments maybe 6 years old. But it was like my lessons were like on Saturday, so I just hated it. Like I wanted to play football with my friends. I wanted to ride my skate, ride my bike, like get out and like explore the world. But I guess I was pretty fortunate because she didn't let me give up, but she did let me kind of alter my trajectory and go from violin, which I'm a 6'5". Like I still look up to Fletcher, but I'm a pretty big dude. At least I got to put down the violin, stop getting beat up, and play the bass. So I played the big upright string bass I played all the way through high school. But then halfway through high school, like the jazz band needed some low end, so I started picking up the electric bass, and I had never played the electric bass until really my freshman year of high school. And my sophomore year was where I had like started playing in some bands, like I said, like the metal stuff. But then I took this trip to Salt Lake to ride Brighton on a snowboard, and back then snowboards were like kind of a new deal, but then my buddy, my cousin's friend, jumped in the car and he's like, dude, throw this in. And that was like cassette tape era. Threw the cassette tape in and it was Pennywise. And I was like, what is this? Like just blown away. And then he was telling stories about how rowdy it got at the Salt Palace, and I was like, I have to figure this stuff out. So that's when I started converting. And then by the time I finished up high school, I was in a little town about an hour from St. George. I got a football scholarship, you know, big dude. They didn't have soccer, which is what I started playing, talking about the World Cup. But anyway, I picked up football, played 4 years of varsity in high school, got a full ride scholarship to a college in St. George, went over there and then still had my band and started playing like weekend shows. And that's where I met the other dudes in the band. They were in a band way better than I was. But I was like, I had big plans to go to audio engineering school. So I finished that first year of college ball and was like, I think I can check this off the list. The team, we were national champions, and I'd gotten to see what a 7-day football work week looked like and was ready to do something else. So I sent in my papers, went and attended the Conservatory of Recording Arts and Sciences in Arizona. And we had to do a final project. So I reached out to Chad, who's the singer of Bridge the Gap now. At the time, he was in a band that was called Unfold, and said, dude, you want to be my final project? And we can track on this like giant SSL board, and I don't know, spend a ton of money because I got free 2-inch reels. And so he came down, and like during that process with the chaos of like band members disappearing and people taking off, Chad was there. That's when I found out that dude can play the drums, the guitar, the bass, sing. And I was like, yeah, this guy's gonna be my friend for life. Then I think towards the end of that, I saw that Pennywise was coming through town, and Strung Out was supporting them on Twisted by Design, and I was like, I'm going to that show. I'm talking to Fletcher, and I'm working at their studio, which was called Stall 2, in Redondo Beach, which was right next to the infamous Total Access Studios, which is where like No Doubt, Tragic Kingdom, all the Sublime stuff, early Sublime stuff was tracked. Dawkins, who else? I don't know, like Guns N' Roses, like we're talking like huge stuff. So anyway, yeah, I got to get in there. I got to talk to Fletcher. He was a super cool dude. He gave me the address to kind of send all my info. I reached out to their partner at the time, who owned Theologian Records, Mark Theodore.
All right.
And Mark, yeah, super cool dude. And he responded, and he's like, hey, it's not my decision, but I'm going to get your information over to the engineer, the head engineer, Darian Rundle, and we'll see what happens. And I can't remember. I think it was New Year's. I think it was like either like the day after New Year's when I got a phone call back when like you called the house phone, and somebody goes, Shon, somebody named Darian is on the phone. And I was like, no way. So I jumped down. I played cool. I told him I could be there like right away. Really had no plans, no place to live. Anyway, jumped in a car, headed out to the golden land of California, slept on a patio in Reseda, and then drove down to Redondo on the 405 101 interchange for 2 hours each way every day, it seemed like. And I started my punk rock career, tracking some of the bands that I had grown up like loving and listening to.
What year was that?
That would have been 99, like 2000. I think that would have been 2000. 99, 2000, somewhere right in there.
Or did a stall number 2 in 2000 with Darian?
No way.
Yeah.
Man, that guy was tough, dude. Did we once know each other?
I'm trying to think. Maybe if you were there.
You can't. I mean, you could
There-
do some. You're pretty tall.
That was a
I was bald. I was bald with a goatee.
I had long hair and looked sexy as fuck.
That's what I remember. That's what I remember for sure.
Session was a nightmare session because our drummer was pretty green. We had just gotten a new drummer. We went in. We were going to track a full length album. We got through like 4 or 5 songs of tracking drums, and Darian was like, "All right, let's try to get these songs done. So as long as we get an EP out of this, we'll be okay. Yeah, let's try to save this session." And then one of our guitar players went in, and he had a real shitty amp and a real shitty guitar. And Darian was like, let me make a call. He actually called up Mike Clark from Suicidal.
Yeah.
His amp, his whole rig was there, and he had his Les Paul. So
man, yeah, that was cool.
Let him use my gear. So we plugged it in, and Darian, he had that what is it, a strobe tuner?
Yep.
And
yeah, the Pedersen, dude, that thing was the bane of my existence.
Dude, so my guitar, Darian plugged it in, tuned the guitar, would hand it off to our guitar player, and as soon as he would play it, and he's like, "Dude, how the fuck do you do that, man?"
Yeah, man, brutal.
No shit, 10 times he would tune the guitar and go, "Brang." Yeah, there it is. Hand it over to our guitar player. And it was like, what the fuck? Do you walk into a fucking Guitar Center and all the guitars go out of tune? this is fucking ridiculous, man. It's the very first recording session I ever walked out of. I was just
man, for sure.
I can't do this.
Yeah, brutal. Like his infamous saying at the time was "kidding." You're kidding, right?
Yeah,
kidding. And I was like, oh man, like these guys, and I'm just the assistant engineer, so I'm just like tuning stuff, keeping things clean, doing overdubs, setting up microphones, and like I'm seeing like grown ass men musicians like come to tears in those sessions like over and over again. Like he was a tough dude. Yeah, tough. But I mean, he got performances, but yeah, you definitely had to work for him.
That we never finished that record. It actually broke the band apart.
Oh man.
Oh, brutal.
Yeah, and we had been together for 10 years at that point.
What was the name of that band?
Dead Lazlo's Place.
Oh my gosh. I was totally there, dude. Yeah, I wrote down, I have a list of every band that I worked with. I totally remember that session for sure.
We were there for 4 days. I was there for 3.5.
Yeah, I definitely remember that. I mean, you saw him hand the guitar, but you didn't see me like trying to just tune that Pedersen tuner and like get it set up and like stripe the tape. And oh man, yeah, that was rough. But I totally remember you. I mean, your hair color was different, but you were gorgeous back then.
Told you.
Don't feed the fucking monster, man. He had all his hair back then.
I had a fucking body that God sculpted himself.
Yeah, when he was drunk, he was a fucking doughboy.
Everybody's got to eat, dude. Everybody's got to eat. So music. I mean, why do you learn how to play the guitar or cook good food? It's to woo the opposite sex, if you ask me.
Well, that will come up in a little bit. So, how did you wind up? Like, or where did you go from all of this to bridge the gap? I mean, were you in other bands?
So after working in the studio, I started doing remote stuff, and I was one of like the first kids to come out certified to use Pro Tools. So I did some Pro Tools editing on 98 Mutes, Slow Motion Riot. I got to do a little bit of work on, lots of stuff for Strung Out. I was on Element of Sonic Defiance and got to do like that intro like sound thing and put all that together where it's like going through like life on a strung out Ferris wheel. Anyway, I think it's I Love Lucy that we took the clip from and then matched it with the background effects with an Akai sampler. Anyway, so from there I started doing remote stuff and like doing pre-production. So I'd go in and record the bands, get kind of pre-production tracks laid so they could share it with the producer, get tuned up, get ready to go, and then they would head into the studio, and then I would just do little, simple, inexpensive stuff for a lot of other bands, and that's when Unfold started getting serious. And so I actually joined that band as like the fifth member, as like manager, sound guy. I mean, I knew how to, solder, fix mics, drive cars, change oil. I was handy. I wasn't that handsome. I wasn't nearly as handsome as Gizz, but I was handy. So I jumped in and we started trying to hit the road and play songs. So that's when I kind of finished forging that relationship with Chad and the rest of the guys. And then uh, that band, once it ended, I actually was switching into becoming a chef. There was a time that I did a lot of like sound installation, so I'd go and install, like big mixing boards and fly speakers and run all the snakes and cabling. And then home theaters got really, really big, and I was like, this is kind of all the same technology. So I started going into big fancy houses and putting home theater systems in, like tactile sound where like the floor would move and all of that. And then like I started cooking. I started cooking, and it wasn't till it was literally almost 18 years to the day when like COVID was happening. I had started talking to Chad again, and he had a few demos. He started using this product I didn't know, but it was called Ableton. Had tracked some songs, was starting to share them, and I was just like envious. I was like, dude, man, you still can write a good song. And it wasn't until Jeff, the guitar player from Unfold, who was in Bridge the Gap for the first two albums, kind of brought it up to Chad, like, dude, now that we have some money and we're like all working, like, if you could record anywhere, where would it be? I mean, like instantly, like you go through the list, like, oh, I don't know, like Ryan Green, Cameron Webb, thinking kind of through it, and you go, dude, anywhere. Working with Bill Stevenson and Jason Livermore at the Blasting Room, like that would be a dream. So little did Chad know, but like Jeff made the phone call. He's a like killer high end home designer. Anyway, made the phone call, set up the conversation. They talked through it. Everyone figured out they could do it. Started scraping our pennies together, and we came out kind of as a project, like for fun. And like we started laying stuff down, and just everyone at the studio kept, like you're like, yeah, sure, it's good, but they just kept going, guys, this is good. Like you should think about putting it out. And we're like, yeah, we're a bunch of old dudes now, all in our like professional careers. But in the back of our minds, we're like, could we do it? Could we like really rock this? And that was the like that was all the fuel we needed with these guys here and like what they track and record and put out. Getting their blessing was all we needed to go, yeah, let's shop this thing. So we took that record, got it onto People of Punk Rock out of Canada. Shout out to Anthony and Juan. If it wasn't those guys kind of giving us that start, we probably would just still be working on it like a project. But they took us on, kind of showed us the ropes, gave us a sweet deal to get, our music published. And then from there we were trying to like play some shows, get the, you know, get the stage act back together, which, like after not playing for that, like I played guitar chords, like cowboy chords on my guitar, sang songs with my kids, but I didn't like professionally try and play an instrument for like 18 years. So picking that up, and like in your mind you're like, yeah, I'll play. And I used to play and sing, like I was a front man, no big deal. Yeah, of course I can do harmonies. Well, once you try and do all of those things without looking at your fingers and staying up on the mic and moving around and being entertaining, it becomes quite overwhelming. For those that stopped, maybe you can sympathize, but yeah. So it like the music was killer. We wanted to be ready to go, but luckily we got to just play some shows, kind of get our feet wet again, build back up into it, start working on more songs. Because when we went in for that first one, Chad had, I don't know, 40 or 50 songs already. Like he had never stopped writing and playing, so he already had a stack of songs that he had been working on to go in for our last album, which was Gainsayer, and laid down 14 more tracks. Again, pushing. Now we had some experience. Now, I had strengthened my voice. Chad had started singing professionally again, getting his pipes back up. And so I think we were able to come in and just deliver, a beautiful, they were always sonically beautiful, but a lot more depth and interest in the like backups and harmonies. And my voice developed, and I had a lot better tone. So like that pairing was something that Bill liked, and I already told you about, that interview process. So passing, kind of knowing what to expect, uh, producing a record that we were super proud of. At that point, Jason asked if he could send that record over to his friend at Double Helix Records. So shout out to Jeff and M there. They were like stoked. They're like, yeah, let's start to talk and figure this out. And then they were so rad to push. They got us in contact and got us on Spam over, in Europe, and then P Records in Australia. And then, then it was kind of like, okay, we gotta play more shows, get out there. And that's when we got to run into you, Gizz, and play that string of shows out in Cali, and have not stopped. And then like a studio like this, you got to book it well in advance. And so we went, well, if we want a record to come out end of 26 or 27, we had to book it last year. So I don't know if I don't know if I'm totally ready. I'm like in studying for a final that I'm not totally ready for, but yeah, just working hard on parts and getting ready for what's to come. I think we're 3 songs in, maybe 4 songs in now on drums.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that rust doesn't come off real easy, man. It takes a while to remember where everything's at, and
Yeah, I mean, I still out of habit. I still find myself like looking down, and I'm going, "Wait a minute, I know where this is." But when you're getting started, that like anxiety of like playing the wrong note, with 200 watts of power behind it, is it keeps you pretty tethered to that fretboard.
Paul here has mentioned before, and it's really like the first time he mentioned it, I was like, whatever. But the more and more he says it, is when he is studying his parts for when he's, fucking around on his instrument, either guitar, he does it in the dark, So
brilliant.
You can't see. So that forces you to,
close your eyes and listen and like feel it out, which locks it in. I mean, thinking about it locks it in faster too, because then you're just following the movements, not trying to hand-eye coordinate it.
Exactly. You're not even counting frets anymore. You kind of just feel where you're at. I mean, even the width of the neck will tell you where you're at on some stuff. Like, what do you play through?
That's really interesting, especially since he's such a dumb fuck. So.
Oh man.
I'm gonna have to go start fishing in the dark, dude. I'll
I start fishing in the dark.
As a drummer, I know a lot of my, when I'm in a band, to me, the way I set up my kit is almost like Bill Stevenson, where everything is you got it there, everything is the same.
Yeah.
On both sides, because I do a lot of double-handed stuff when I'm playing, and to me, it's all about the patterns of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, especially early in my career, I was a fucking big alcoholic drunk, and I had to close my eyes so I wouldn't get dizzy. And it's just knowing where everything is, but it does make a difference when you know where everything is. That way, you're more free to play. And you're more, it's more entertaining too.
It's way more freeing to not have to do it because you know where it's at. Now, what do you play through your two bass, your amp rig? What do you got set up?
So I'm glad you asked. I mean, being kind of the audiophile that I am, and now, uh, for good or bad, if you ask my wife, I I'm stoked to get the good stuff. So I jam on a super bassman, Fender super bassman on top of, depends on the show, but I got a 410 with a horn and then a 15 down on the bottom. And then I run that through my board, which I got my Pedersen strobe tuner, because after 2.5 years of that, how could I change it up? And then that runs into a dark glass harmonizer. And then I crunch it and then run it into a micro tubes. That also gives me kind of like that great DI sound where I can do some modeling. So if there is no backline, I can go straight into the house system and it still sounds like me, kind of, giving that fuzz and that buzz. And then I can model inside of that the 410 combo and then choose the mic and everything else.
Right on.
So, and then on for the instrument, I play a real deal 66 Fender jazz bass, Sunburst edition. It was the last model made with still Leo Fender parts before the CBS purchase. It's got the dots on the neck. And then for my backup, I got one of the 66 reissue. I think they're called Seafoam Green. One of those units last year, just in case. That girl's really old, and even though I love her and I take care of her and I take her in and get her tuned up all the time, just there's a high probability, but nothing plays or sounds like that bass. The 66 reissues close, but at least the neck is like that same, even though the lacquer's not worn through, so it's a little bit sticky still. But yeah, that's what I jam on.
Are you fingers or pick?
On pick. When I started, I used a bow and fingers, but when I kind of came back to it, these guys never stopped, so they were fast and good, and I felt like that learning curve, that bell would be a little bit tighter if I did pick. So I've been on the pick. I don't know, maybe one day when I take a sabbatical. I think that's what people call it. I don't know. I work every day, but I'll go back to finger picking because I had a kid once tell me that real bass players play with their finger, and I was like,
Who was that kid, John Entwistle?
well,
That's funny because
yeah,
there's bass players like Carl Alvarez,
yeah, dude, that guy. Yeah, I've gotten to see that up close and personal a couple times, and don't tell him, but I took his bass off the wall and jammed on it for a minute. But yeah, he's a cool dude, and yeah, that guy with his fingers, dude. It's an impressive experience.
I actually prefer the fingers. I feel more free, and I don't a string like when I'm not a tall guy. I'm 5'6" so
5'4".
Yeah, a lot taller than Gizz though.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely taller than Gizz.
Oh my god!
But I tend to scrape across the strings. I don't like the way that sounds. It's just so much smoother with a finger.
Yeah. When I first started, I didn't have that control back, so I switched to a Dunlop Flow pick, which actually eliminates that kind of like pick scrape. And then now I'm on the T3, which has a little more of a tip, so I can get better articulation. But I know I'll get back to those fingers. I want to be a cool kid.
Well,
So
you're not. Like, you're just a kid you are. So this is one of my bigger questions. And this is fun. So you're chef, obviously, and you probably cook for the high and mighty and rich and famous. How do you equate the love language behind music and food? Like, do you see like a big crossover in that kind of creation?
Oh, when I was like, so there was a moment where so it was strung out actually. I went into the studio, I don't know, it was 2 or 3 months, I can't remember exactly, but I went in and came out and my kid had gone from crawling to walking, and I had like missed that, and it was my second child. So I was like, devastated a little bit, and I started really thinking about like the environment and lifestyle, and saw a lot of broken homes, and I thought, what did my parents do? Not really even thinking about the fact that like my dad was there and available. He was an older dude, so it wasn't like we were going out and playing like baseball and catch, but at least he was like there and would have conversations and expect me to like go to school or be home, like however you want to feel about that. I mean, not that there weren't plenty of like not knock down, drag out fights, but and the same thing with my mom. And so I really started to go like, I committed to have these kids, and I was good in the studio. I was young, smart. I loved learning. So like getting in there and mapping mics and like figuring out how to be the best, like that was like in my DNA. but but I also wanted to be a really good dad. And so I was like, what am I going to do different? So that was like the remote recording, and then eventually doing the home theater stuff. And at that point, I was doing a big theater for a couple, and and because I got to tour and eat cool stuff in LA and like being a studio runner, like we were eating the best for the big bands. The little bands, we were cup of noodle champions, but for the big bands, they got to like order some cool food. So I got to see stuff that I had never seen before, and I was a good mimic. So like when I would taste the food, I'd go, like what is this? Oh, it's curry, and how is curry made? And and it was the early days of the internet, so you could really start to dig in and find out what shit was made of, and what that ingredients list was. Anyway, so I was making lunch, and the lady of the house was like, man, this is incredible food, you should do a restaurant. And I was like, well, I got to make my millions in music first, and then I'll do a restaurant. Kind of, like as a dumb kid would say. And she goes, well, you should think about it. And they owned a pharmacy, and next door was this little like health food store with a deli in it. Well, because of my skills, like what does music teach you? Drywall, concrete finishing, roofing, painting, because you got to support the habit. They kept adding more jobs on their home remodel. So I don't know. I think I ended up being there for 5 or 6 months. And they came to me and they said, put a business plan together, and like, take this place over. We'll buy it. Like put your ideas on paper, and let's like see if we can figure something out. And there was a real kind of soul searching moment when I was like, man, am I gonna walk away from like everything? I was like the kids, I need to focus, and then as soon as I can, like I'm back at it. I'm out there, I'm doing the thing, I'm making dreams come true. I'm gonna make it in this music thing. And well, it wasn't too long that I made that commitment to my kids and went, okay. And it was kind of one of those like, God, if I do this, like you got to help me get back to music. Like I'm doing this for all the right reasons, but what I really love and who I am is like a punk rocker doing music with my friends. And I kind of got that like that little bit of confidence because I didn't know how to run a kitchen. I mean, I had worked at McDonald's at 17. I was a crew master, a fry master. They called them fry masters because I could cook fries. Um, but 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 I had no formal training. But my personality, well, I was like, I'm gonna do this 100%. So I got books. I started studying, and the one of my mentors, really really great dude, he was like the corporate chef for the company that we were going to order like our food from. And so I called my food rep. If anybody in the restaurant industry, your food rep knows everything. I called him and I was like, hey, does your company have like a corporate chef or somebody that could come in and like show me how to use this stuff? Because I designed it. I did the physical remodel on the restaurant, but I was not like I knew how to make good food, but not at that level. So anyway, this guy came in. Still one of my good friends. He's come to watch us play a few times. He's an old rocker, he came in and he showed me how to use this equipment. And at the end, it was this like big butcher's knife with a white plastic handle. Like nobody should ever have to cut anything with those. Anyway, it weighed probably 25 pounds. I pulled it out. He showed me how to sharpen it on a steel. And I was like, okay, like I promise you, his name's Alan. I'm like, Alan, dude, I'm going to study every day and I'm going to make you proud. He's like, oh, yeah, okay, dude, sounds good. You're a good guy. You'll figure it out. Like, I'm sure he was like, okay, here we go. Like another failed restaurant in the making. And I did. I studied every day, not just like food and recipes and like learn from the best. Because back then, a good cookbook only came from like one of the top restaurants. So it was like, Joel Robuchon or Gordon Ramsay, who actually I ended up getting to cook for a couple times. Anyway, like, so I just jumped in head first. And then I also, because I was smart enough and I had done the music thing, which a lot of that is psychology. I mean, management is psychology, trying to help a performer gain confidence, get in the zone, start to like focus, start to like feel it. Like all of that is like mood and environment. So what I found out is as I started kind of like equating to my experience to what I was now like learning and about to attempt, it all fed the same receptors. So like creativity, it's all there. Hard work, it's all there. Misfit band of toys. Yeah, I got those in the kitchen. Like that's the kitchen crew. Practicing every day, performing every night. Like it was all there. So this anxiety that I had was like being fulfilled in this totally different environment. And me going from an offensive lineman not in the spot. We know who gets the touchdown. It's the guys that block for the ones with the balls. But in this, like all of a sudden people started coming in going and calling me chef. And I was like, well, I'm not a chef. I'm just a cook that's like learning how to do this. But 3 years in, I got the opportunity to go take over a resort. And at that point, don't tell anybody, but I didn't even know how to like professionally cook breakfast. But luckily, I mean, I knew lunch and dinner, and I was like, run towards scared, right? Like this is like a big deal. Run towards scared. I know that I'll put the time in to figure this out. And when I was in the interview process, I said, okay, so who's like the lead line cook for breakfast? And they go, oh, this guy that worked for Carnival. And I thought like Carnival Cruise Lines. But no, he was a carny that worked for the Carnival. Um, so if anybody knows that industry, like, it's similar to music, but, living on the road, a pretty hard life. And this guy, his name's Bill Applewhite. That dude taught me how to flip 3 cases of eggs. That's 15, 40, 30, 45. That's 45 dozen eggs in one morning. He got me up to the point where I could flip and cook 45 dozen eggs in a 4-hour breakfast period. So, again, like a mentor that was willing to take the time to show this kid, because I was a kid, this guy was at least, I don't know, 20 years my senior. But with respect and like hard work, focused dedication, he invested, taught me, and now like it's like another kind of like badge of courage. Like the first time you finish a tour, or you don't kill somebody when you want to, those those kind of things. So I find myself at a resort, and there's a garden, a 4-acre working garden. I'm like out there, the chef. I'm talking to the owners of like what to plant. I'm harvesting stuff, walking into the restaurant, washing the earth off, preparing it, serving it. And all of a sudden, like, 3.5 years in, I get an opportunity to go do an event for Sundance that was like 6 weeks long with a bunch of fancy people and this like thing called Michelin, these chefs that worked at Michelin, they would say Michelin restaurants. And I was like, man, this like level of food, this is like some of that magic I saw in the studios when you'd work with a great band that had like tons of talent and they would start to work together and that song would start somewhere and it would all of a sudden morph and end up in this totally new, beautiful place with all the ideas that would come together. I was like, this is now I'm writing songs, like doing this Michelin kind of food. I'm writing like not just like a great like 3-chord pop punk song, but now we're writing like strung out. Jim Cherry, R.I.P. Jim Cherry, one of the best songwriters I ever live, in my opinion. Uh, but like I was like touching, I was touching and playing with magic, and from there, helicopters started to land at this little ranch I was at, and book out the restaurant and come in and eat. And I'd come out and I'd work with these guys, serve them food, and they'd go, "Why are you here?" Because it was like this was pretty ranchy. And I'm like, well, this is where I work. I got a garden. Like, why would I ever want any more? Like, I'm working with animals. I'm working with vegetables. I love this place. Well, after 3 or 4 of those, MMkind Resort, which is, I think, the most expensive resort in North America, they came, did a tasting, and they said, you need to work out here. And I was like, well, I don't even know how to pronounce it, let alone let, let, let alone work out there. And I'm literally like my uniform at this point is Dickie shorts, my Van slip-ons, a goofy Comey cap, and I'm not presentable by any means. Like I basically look one step above a line cook in a fast service burger joint. So like like In and Out I would have looked super cool if I had a cool like hat on. But anyway, so they approached me and they said, you got to do this. So like, I went from a kitchen with no hoods, 130 degrees, uh, producing like beautiful food, grown, my hands touched everything, to like getting dry cleaned chef jackets and uh, custom tailored pants. Anyway, it was surreal. It was surreal to step into that world. And then I'm like in the dining room going, oh, that's so and so, and oh, that's another so and so, and like all of a sudden this whole other world of like how money works, how politics, who actually makes the decisions, how the decisions are made. Those things you hear about the conspiracy side, like just like anything, if you want to make it in the music industry, you probably should become friends with people who have already kind of made it at least to some level in the music industry, because those are the ones that are going to give you the chance to like take the next step. And as long as you don't, disappoint them or do something, you can't pay for at least, then you're out, So being at that level, seeing how it worked, and then all of a sudden becoming a celebrity chef where I'm going to Pebble Beach Food and Wine and LA and flying out to Aspen.
Wow.
I think like it was like all of a sudden I was the rock star. I mean, literally the first, let's see, I had been there 30 days, and all of a sudden I walk in the dining room and there's this like dude I recognize, and I go, oh, that's Mike from, the band Green Day on his honeymoon. Yeah, Mike Dirt sitting there at the table, and I talked to him about his nacho restaurants and that I worked for Pennywise at Stall too. So like it all of a sudden, like again, there was like this little full circle, and I was like, okay, like am I still on the right path? Like I'm still doing this thing? Because the first year I was there, it was like drinking through a fire hose. Like I was like, I don't belong here. Like this isn't who I am, and I don't belong here. And then the second year was kind of like, maybe I got this thing figured out. Like, because I'm like gung ho. Somebody's like, hey, we want a helicopter on top of this mountain, have you cook this food and do this thing, then finish on a houseboat. And then I'm like, yeah, why not? Like let's do it. So, dinner's on top of, independent standing monoliths where the only way you can get up there is by helicopter, to like flying over to the top of a houseboat and cooking, like beaches, glaciers. Like I went for it, and it was a vehicle for it. And then I always say like the third year I was at Amagiri, I was like, like I don't die here. And it was one night kind of cooking, and this guest was there, and he kind of pulled me over and he goes, this has been an incredible experience, like one of my favorite experiences I've ever had at any of the Amman properties around the world. And I was like, oh, thank you very much. And they're like, I have to turn sideways because like initially you can't look people in the eyes. You have to kind of like speak across them for like cultural reasons because you don't know where anybody's from. And like sometimes looking in the eye, being just a hired chef, is disrespectful. So because we got like sheiks and anyway, too much info. But I'm kind of looking across and he's like, no. He's like, chef, you don't die here. And like that was like that scene in Braveheart when he like screams out freedom, like something inside of me was like, I don't die here. Because you think like it's like the top of the mountain. And I was like feeling like a little bit down, like I want to see more mountains. I want to keep climbing. I want to keep like pushing this as far as I can. And that like, I don't know, if like 45 days later, I some people had reached out to me to do a restaurant in Kanab, which is again, it's on the east entrance of Zion National Park. So I live in the most beautiful place like on the planet. The only thing that I think like rivals it maybe is like Big Sur, the Highlands, Carmel Highlands, and I don't know. There's a lot of beautiful places I've gotten to cook, but they talked to me. They had a property. They were like, you need to come to a restaurant. And I was like, I don't know if I can do that. I'm at the top of the world. No longer will I be like Chef Shon of MMkind, but I'm like, get over yourself. Like, what is it? Are you not doing it because you're terrified? Well, like that's where you're supposed to be. So I jumped ship. I opened a restaurant 45 days later called Sago. It's been open 12 years this month. 12 years in. I have two other properties on the other side of Springdale, restaurants that I own and run with my kids. Those kids that I invested in. I do consulting for boutique hotel brands like Hilton, Marriott. I've got projects that I've done and completed in Scottsdale and Boise, Idaho, St. George, Utah. Uh, so like that's kind of like the professional side. My business partner, uh, I love that guy. He's got a PhD in applied anthropology, and he hangs out with me. I don't know. He's so dumb, but like he helps like put together like the thoughts, feelings, and ideas that I have, through intuition and a life well lived, and then like can like articulate it, and then gets the gigs and does the hard contractual work, and then we get to write songs, like we get to do albums together, but these albums are restaurant concepts. And then I also during that whole time, like I left on Gary, I had started Sago. I was maybe like 2 months in, and I get this phone call from a handler, like they call them handlers, or you could call them a manager, and they go, hey, is this Chef Sean? And I'm like, yeah, it is. They're like, I have a client that needs your services on Lake Powell. And I'm like, okay, well, I just started a restaurant. I need to know like what it is, how many days, because like I was the cook in the kitchen. And they go, well, it's gonna be for a couple days, and they're a very influential client. Well, I think I can say this because it's been so long, and this is between us. We're gonna keep it between us. They're like, it's Leonardo DiCaprio. So what I felt like I had walked away from, uh, at Amingiri, like taking care of those like high end clients, super intense, like it was like the big show every day. I thought it was gonna like be done, but it followed me, and then now I've cooked on glaciers and islands and I don't know, all over. Super fortunate, and I think the coolest part is I've gotten to do it with my friends and family. And people, it looks a lot cooler, like when you're on tour, it's pretty rad to play for a bunch of people on a stage. Like I'm not going to say it's not, but like all those nights sleeping on the equipment in the trailer or under the van because you don't want your stuff to get stolen, like it's a little bit like that. Like I've gotten to see the world, and it's a beautiful world, through a kitchen window. So I'm cutting and scraping and chopping and grilling and you know doing all the things, but in like some of the most beautiful places. What's really cool and the thing that kind of grounds me is that I get to reach out and work with farms and farmers in all of those places, and then connect on a personal level again to the land and those people that are doing it, that are living that life. Fast forward to now, I get to serve on a nonprofit board that does a lot of advocacy work for small farms and producers in Utah. and we do, stuff at the state level. We've passed, I say I mean, sometimes they listen to me on certain bills, but 22 different like bills and amendments that protect those people that want food freedom. Like when I was a chef, the only reason I could use my eggs at that ranch was because we grew them. It was still, though, I would get in trouble and written up because they would say it's illegal. When I left that and I was doing my own thing, again, I would get citations because I was using local produce, local eggs, local meats, which was illegal, and it still is in some states. So that's how I found these guys. They passed a bill that allowed me as a chef to use locally produced eggs under a certain number without certain amount of like bureaucracy and inspections. And I just fell in love with, like, again, kind of that punk rock spirit of like, well, I mean, up until that point, honestly, like, they get mad at me, but I had never really voted because I didn't think what I did mattered. Like, I was just some white guy showing up, putting my socks and shoes on, cooking my food. What does my voice matter? Like when you kind of like think about politics in general. But what it taught me is that absolutely, like, if you get in and you do it smart, you can write a bill, you can take it up to to the Capitol and like make stuff happen. So it's been kind of a beautiful return that way too, of being able to make a difference and a change and protect the farmers, because without farmers we don't have food. It's like I get a lot of credit for the food that other people spend a lifetime growing and producing. So I always make sure that I take my hat off and pay attention to and thank those that grow the food that we get to enjoy. So now I get to serve even more beautiful food, organic, all natural, biodynamic, and proteins, and I get to build that community, as well as getting to be in a killer band to become more and more a part of the music scene and the music community.
Like, I feel like an asshole, lazy bastard.
I know. I'm like, this is the first time you and I have ever shut up.
I know.
Let
We just
somebody
let
talk. I'm getting more and more impressed and like falling in love.
Okay.
Nobody's cried yet, so I usually like I'm a pretty emotional dude. Like if you really love what you do, it's hard to not have like those emotions, because it's people and it's lives. Like a lot of times when I'm doing an interview for someone that's going to come work with us, I'm just like, I'm inviting you into my family, and here's what that means. Like, whether you came from a good family or a bad family, you know the rules. There's going to be accountability. There's going to be expectation. We're going to have follow up. You're also going to then do the same for me. And I don't know. It's kind of like I guess it's a form of the military, but you really do, like, you build people's. I mean, some of my most special moments wasn't that dish that I pulled off perfectly for so and so. It's like helping a dude that's never been able to like deposit a paycheck into a bank account with his name on it and balance a checkbook. And then helping them get their first car loan. I don't know, like, to me, if more people took the time to invest in the human being and the one-on-one, like, there's a saying like, feed your neighbors, feed the world. It's the same in this. Like, if you take care of your group, your clan, your family, and in that taking care of them, you're also teaching them how to take care of themselves. Then they start to take care of others, and you start to see that like ripple in the pond, where you do. I want to be in a place where I have the most influence, and the greatest impact. And that can be music, right? Like, that's one of the biggest draws of that. Like, once you find your voice and you're putting songs down that people are singing along to, like, that is a pretty special thing. And then when you see that happening in full color in real life with people that you work with every day, and you go, you know what, I should probably be a good dude, because people are looking at me for that kind of mentorship. For a long time in kitchens, it wasn't like that. It was, Burnham, Sabotage, a lot of the a lot of the same, band and tour antics that we're used to. But I think you can still do that, but you can grow people instead of break people. That was kind of the thing. It's like, if I can break you, you weren't strong enough to be a part of this. But now it's like, if I can break the bad habits and I can help you forge good ones, then you have a chance of turning this into a career. And hopefully you can provide some of the same luxuries and you can change your stars. There's that Knight's Tale movie where like the dude's leaning over him and he's like, you have been weighed and measured and found wanting. Like that's kind of like a haunting, like punk rock kid getting beat up for long hair and riding a skateboard when I was a young punk, to like, I'm gonna show the world that I can do anything you can do and better. Now that's not maybe always like the best mantra. I grew up and learned that I'm gonna work harder and longer to make sure that I'm ready and prepared for fate, or what they say, luck, to provide that open door opportunity. And I'm gonna run towards scared. And if I'm not, that's when like, if I don't have that big thing coming up, that thing that's kind of daunting and overwhelming, I feel like I'm not doing enough. So now I've created a little bit of a psychosis, but
I think it's actually a really beautiful thought. I had my wife sent me to the Institute of Domestic Technology, and there was a wine tasting
yeah,
and
dude.
pig carving with Jared Standing. I don't know if you know him or not. He opened my eyes to
Yeah.
say, I've always loved to cook anyways, but it really didn't help me step my game up. I'm like, wait a minute. Hearing the stories of like actually finding the farms where the people are taking care of the animals and it's not,
Yep.
you know,
Yes.
RBS and all that stuff.
Yep. Sustainability, regenerative agriculture. Now I'm pretty fortunate to get to work with some of the game changers in that world. Shout out to Sovereignty Ranch and the push that they've done. They've produced, her and her brother Ryland have produced like Kiss the Ground, Common Ground, and then now their newest one, Groundswell. And it's just like, I don't know, people, you've got to educate yourself. Anybody, it doesn't matter if you're on the left or the right, if you're not doing the work for yourself to try and understand really what our world is facing and what we're facing as a population when it comes to like our food, you're really missing out, because there is information out there that can help you, you know choose something better to eat. It doesn't always have to be organic, but like getting out to the farmers markets, making that difference. Because I mean, I have elements from being a McDonald's kid. Like, we grew up in an era that fast food was convenient and good for you. Nobody was asking any questions. And now, with the elements that some of us old punks are starting to experience, like, if you want to play a 45-hour set, you got to be in at least decent shape. So, that's another motivator to kind of like pay attention to what you consume. But
I mean, and there some of those underlying health factors that we wound up with. Like, I had diverticulitis pretty bad, and so I had a lot of large intestine removed.
Yeah.
You're really forced to think a little bit more on it at a different level. And like I said, it's inspiring to hear anybody talk about it. Like, hey, look, you can. It's not that hard to go ahead and like,
No.
and cook something.
Yeah.
Where it came from.
Yeah, what are you going to invest in? Like, there's not much better than your health. Like, that's what's going to pay the rewards and dividends a lot longer than any other thing you could put time into. I mean, music, if you really want to play music as long as possible, and that's like one thing with Bill. The first time I met Bill, he's like, I'm going to teach you a few exercises that makes it where you can perform as long as possible. And I was like, here's another dude that's like lived that life, and we're doing like punk rock yoga, like these different positions at night after like jamming in the sessions, which I was like, see, like everyone gets there. Everyone gets there. My grandma, when I was 6 years old, I had done something bad. I don't remember what I did, but I do remember what she said to me at that point. Because whatever it was bad enough that like we had to have a talk. And she goes, Sean, you're going to get a lot further in life if you only have to learn things once.
Yeah.
Make mistakes. Like, we're all going to make mistakes, but only have to learn from those consequences once. And like, how much farther. So her voice, I don't know why I remember that with all the other things I've forgotten in my lifetime. But that was something that was always there. Like, just pay attention enough and try and learn it as quickly as possible. And then like, how much farther ahead are you every time? So like with health, I had a pretty serious back injury, and I couldn't stand for, I don't know, probably 3.5 months. Like I couldn't stand upright. And I had already kind of gotten overweight. I was in restaurants, so I could eat the fattiest meat. I could eat the most unhealthy dressing. I could drink as many 32-ounce Cokes out of the fountain as I wanted to. And you just like, you kind of forget. And all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, dude, I'm, 35 pounds heavier. It's a little harder to get, like they say, like I was making the noises I used to make getting out of bed while I was climbing into bed. And then once that back thing happened, I was like, if this is what life looks like, I don't know how long I'm going to last. So I just kind of dedicated then to try and really take my health serious and start being a good steward. I say the word steward all the time. And for me, stewardship is the management of your most finite resource. And that finite resource for all of us is time. So when you look at, the time that you spend on anything, what is that return? What's going to come back? And I say that to the guys that work with me in the restaurant. I'm like, if people come into our restaurant and their time, like what they've spent to earn the money and the time they spent in the restaurant, if that doesn't add up or create to a transactional equity that we have also spent enough time and effort to generate, there's an imbalance. And they might not know why they don't come back or why they don't give us a good review, but that's not their job. Their job was to work, make money, and come in and pay to eat there. And it was our job to like provide them the service and the food that they should expect from this kind of restaurant. And so I really try and like map my life out to what is my expectation of the situation? What do I need to put in order to get that out of it? And then how do I manage my time in order to make it happen? I don't know. I'm kind of like getting philosophical. Sorry, guys.
It's fun. And so let's go back to Bridge the Gap. You guys in your fourth album. Are you guys got
Third album. Third album. Yep. Round 3.
Do you even have the time to like tour behind it, or are you just gonna put it out and play some shows?
So I think when we look each other in the eyes, we're finally ready to put some real miles. We've done little stints here and there, but it takes some real maneuvering to put it together because I don't want to break anybody's heart, but touring at as a band at our level is really expensive.
Yeah.
And so we feel like, one, we had to be like good enough and solid as a band, have a couple albums, so once we do get in front of somebody, there's a little bit of a discography for them to go check out. It's like that ownership of who we are and hoping that they will then have enough to like really get into us and dig into the music. And so I think we're ready to put some real miles this next year. So once we get kind of the timeline, once we look at those things, we've already reached out to some of the labels and our friends on other continents, trying to put together some stints in Australia, maybe Japan, on some level, get over to Europe, and then try and be really strategic, hit Canada because that's where we started, and then also go through some, West Coast, and then try and get to the East Coast. I mean, it's a big world, but yeah, we made a promise that we would get 3 albums in and then really try and focus on getting out there and getting in front of people and connecting. And I think just as a band, we finally have a couple years in playing and performing, and you can see it, Gizz, like, I mean, you guys, like, you can see it when you look out into that audience's eyes and that point where kind of like the mouth drops and they're just like taking it in, like, what is happening right now? Like, maybe like I didn't expect this because we kind of are coming out of the blue, but we're finally getting to that point where we're confident and we're kind of hitting all the points. Like, we're talking about how we're going to do it better, not dude, on that part, like, bro, like, come on, that, like, come on, get your head in the game. Like, instead of like coaching on that, we're like talking about, okay, like, how do we stitch this better together? How do we make sure we keep the energy up? I don't know. So yeah, I mean, we really want to put some miles behind this next record.
When the day that I met you, the reason that got to meet you was because of Adam.
Yeah.
I heard those guys on, I think it was Instagram, just a short bit. and I was like, I love this band, you know.
Yeah, they're great.
I told
And they're good dudes, you know, like they're just all around great people.
this is one of the bands I want to play with, and Mark and our label, Mind Power Records, they were like, hey, we actually got a show with them up in Oakland. So
Nice.
we went up to Oakland, and we were there. We got there before them. Adam gets out of their van, and they're unloading, and I went up to Adam, introduced myself, and I almost fanboyed out. You know, I was just like,
Yeah.
because it doesn't happen a lot to me. I know a lot of bands, I know a lot of people. So
Yeah.
when I do something, if it really, like grabs me,
Yeah.
and I told them the whole story, and they played that night, and I was like, wow, this band's amazing. It was the same with you guys, where I heard you guys on Instagram, and I was like, fuck, I want to go see this band. And then lo and behold, a couple weeks later, too bad you and Bridge the Gap on the same bill in my town,
And they're
and so I was so happy, and that you and I got to share a fucking pretzel. We had some beers.
Giant pretzel.
Yeah, it was amazing to meet you, and then to see you guys live. That was the icing on the cake, because you guys were just incredible live. So I got to see two really good bands on one bill, and the only thing it sucked that my band wasn't on the bill.
Yeah, I agree, and I think like that's what happens when you start to get shows with other good bands. Not to say that we haven't played with great bands the whole time, but other bands that have been able to like develop their craft to that next level. You infinitely get better. Like every night watching those guys play, going, oh, okay, I see how they did that. Oh, that's a hey dude, how did you do this, or what were you using? And then we started to like, you just like start to get infinitely better just by like being able to play with great bands. So it's it blesses both directions.
We were talking about food, and
You got hungry?
I was playing drums for a band recently, and when I joined the band, their original drummer, or the drummer that they had on their first record, he was okay. When I came into the band, I really started playing more to the song, and one of the guys in the band was like, hey, dude, I really like how you're adding your elements to the song.
Yeah.
I was like, well, it's like, and I don't know why, but it was the very first time that I ever associated food with music. It was like, well, when I first heard your band, it was like, it was like a grilled cheese sandwich.
Yeah.
I wanted to use, artisan bread or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Better cheese,
Yeah.
Add some ham to that motherfucker.
American
Yeah.
Butter, some garlic butter, and
Stepping it up.
And that's how I look at drums now. It's like, whenever I play for a band, it's like I want to make that their songs are meals, so let's and
I say that same thing, but I use the peanut butter and jelly sandwich just because, like if I can talk to you for a minute, I can figure out what your perfect peanut butter and jelly is, and then I can recreate that in every dish I serve from there on. Because if you look at the bread, are you like a weirdo sourdough guy? Do you like a toasted peanut butter and jelly? Is it a whole wheat? Is it a white? Is it a sourdough? And then you go like to the sweet inside, like is it an apricot where it's like a soft round sweet, or is it something like tart like Concord jelly? And then you're jumping over to the peanut, and is it peanut butter? Is it chunky smooth? Is it maybe an almond butter or pistachio butter? And then once I kind of map that out, I start to understand like the things that you're kind of triggering on and keying on, and then I can recreate that, like I say, in other dishes, so that I can keep playing like that hit song. Like once you figure out how to write a good song, you start to go, okay, like here's this pattern that I'm going to start to use, and then I'm going to add a little garnish here and there, and I'm going to stitch it together. And maybe I do like two lines in this chorus, but then just a quick 1-line chorus to get to the bridge. So yeah, I mean, again, like there's so many things that line up with music and food that it was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be.
This
could go on forever and ever and ever.
This is one of the best conversations I think we've ever had on the show.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I love cooking. I love looking things up. I'll scan a recipe and then think about that for a week, and then go in the kitchen and then scan that recipe again, look for 10 different ones, and
Right.
what's your
Yeah.
go-to like style and like your own meal? Like, what are you gonna cook yourself?
So that's a little bit of a trick question. Like one of my restaurants is Southeast Asian, one of them is Peruvian, like the chifa and the Nakai cuisine, which is like the Japanese and Chinese cuisine in Peru, and the one is more like kind of Southwest and Japanese. But for me, at the end of the night, a killer sandwich is a special experience. But honestly, what I eat 2 meals of every day is eggs prepared in just like raw butter, like a really great butter. Normandy, if anybody's had been in Europe and had like French style butter, anyway, a beautiful butter, a couple of like farm fresh, local, unadulterated, organic eggs, and you know, uh, yeah, like I can do that. I don't know, like the chef's toque, that hat. There's 100. I think it's 108 pleats for how many ways you should be able to use an egg as a chef. But I think that's just the French trying to pull our chain. But like eggs are just a beautiful thing. There's 40 different proteins inside of there, depending on what you do and how you do it. You can create beautiful sauces and dishes. So at the end of the night, now that I'm like being like responsible, just a couple of like well cooked eggs in whatever form is like my go-to. But Southeast Asian cuisine is kind of how I've built my reputation, and then also like live fire, like grilling and cooking for big events where you've got like animals on Southern Crosses and things hanging from chains and cooking over wood.
Francis Malden.
Yeah, we should.
Now.
Yeah, Francis Malman. So I've gotten to cook. I haven't cooked with him, but I've cooked in one of his outdoor kitchens.
He's vegan now.
I mean, like you got to kind of watch and study that stuff. I mean, he's an old dude, so animal proteins, especially when you're using a lot of like high fire, you're creating a lot of call it carcinogens. You create a lot of carbon when you're doing high intensity, high heat cooking. And with the way that guy used butter and cream and stuff his whole life, he probably has to ease up. I mean, even for me, like I've said before, like going big all the time, you got to be careful because that adds to like heart difficulties and some other things. But yeah, that's I'll have to research that a little bit. But I mean, there's a lot of high end chefs that go that way for a while. I mean, that was my first introduction to a chef. Was my dad became allergic to a certain protein in animal fat, and so for about 6 months, while the doctors tried to like figure it out, he couldn't eat protein. So we went vegetarian and then vegan for a while. And where I live is where the largest no-kill animal sanctuary is in North America, and it's called Best Friends Animal Sanctuary. I've gotten to cook for them many times. They're beautiful people. Come visit Zion and adopt an animal. Anyway, but their chef, my mom was in real estate, had sold her a house and said, "Hey, can you come and show us how to do this thing? Like, I don't know how to cook dinner without using meat." And this was 1994, 1993. So vegetarian and vegan wasn't a household name even. So she came in and I learned how beautiful vegetables could be cooked and prepared in a way that you didn't miss meat. So we did that for quite a while. And then always since then, like it's a life and you got to take it. So be respectful. So, eat some greens with some meat, not meat with some greens, if that makes sense. Like try and be responsible about it.
Yeah.
Have you ever played in Copenhagen?
No.
No, there's a club out there called 1000 Fried, and
Nice.
we played there. This had to have been late or mid 90s, and a lot of when you're on tour in Europe, you get fed a lot of vegetarian meals.
Right.
There was it almost was like fajitas that they made it.
Oh yeah. Nice.
Vegetarian, whatever the fuck that they cooked. And I did. It was so long ago, but it was one of the best vegetarian meals I ever had because it had that texture of meat.
Yeah. It's when you get into that world, it's a texture thing. So I've gotten to do a lot of high end stuff in that world as well. because of my vegetable and vegetarian skills. So yeah, it comes down to the texture. If you can match the texture and you figure that out, people stop missing the protein.
All right, I got a question. Since you're a
Yo.
chef and a punk rock musician, pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Fuck yes.
So because of just the chemistry of that, it works. Like we could talk ethics, but because of the flavor profile, I mean it's the same thing. You got salty and sweet. I mean salty and sweet have gone together and is a thing humans crave. So by that, I'm gonna say yes. The ethics of it, I mean, the Italians didn't even own the tomato till we came along here in the States. So, the Americas. But again, what are you doing? You got a sweet, beautifully sweet tomato and some salty cheese. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's when you come down to the flavor profile, it works. I would do sausage and pineapple, I guess, if I was doing it. But I've developed a little bit of an allergy, so I don't get to do it anymore. So I don't know. Was that too political of an answer?
Perfect. It was perfect. I mean, I had a friend who didn't eat tomatoes. He didn't like tomatoes, and I got a good heirloom, like an organic heirloom from the farmer's market. Put some smoked sea salt on it, and he loved it.
So many times people are like, "Oh, I hate fish," and I'm like, "Have you ever had fish prepared well?"
Right.
Like, yeah, if you got fish out of a freezer and it's battered and in stick form, okay, I could see why you might hate fish. Like your mom said, cook yourself dinner tonight, and that's the only thing that was left in the freezer. But if you have beautiful fish prepared well, there's nothing like it. Mushrooms, the exact same thing, and tomatoes. People all the time are like, tomatoes? And I'm like, have you ever had a warm tomato?
Oh,
Kissed by the sun, it still has the smell on it. You just slice that baby, a little bit of salt, touch of pepper, maybe a little oil. There's nothing better. I mean, one of my favorite sandwiches is toasted bread, a little bit of handmade mayo because I like mine a little bit tart, and then just tomatoes, salt, pepper, and a little sliced cheese. Like the cheese can vary, but that would probably be like one of my final meals right there.
I would definitely put like a loose burrata on top of that.
Oh yeah,
Be perfect.
yeah, we're making people hungry.
Yeah, I'm starting to get hungry too.
Okay, now we're talking about food. What's a food or a condiment that you fucking absolutely hate?
Oh man, that I hate. I try and subscribe to, if you're gonna be a great chef, you have to find the love or like in anything. But I will say I was cooking in Germany, and the chef I was working with brought me this like big thick like pumpernickel bread with this stuff on top. And all I'll say is that when he walked just through the threshold of the door, the smell of that thing punched me in the face. I don't know. It was some kind of fermented fish thing. And once you got it past your nose and got it in your mouth, it was great. A lot of people like freak out about fish sauce and stuff, but I don't know. Shrimp paste is pretty overwhelming till you use it in something. But something I just hate, I would say I probably hated ketchup for a long time until I just started making it. Once I started making it, I'm like, if I'm going to make a French fry that's this good, why would I not make the ketchup that stands up to it? And so all of our restaurants, we make our ketchup in for that reason. And so I don't hate it anymore.
Yeah.
I hate it, but in the process, it took me almost 2 years to get a ketchup that I felt like was good enough and that people would like. Like ketchup is kind of a tricky condiment for sure.
I absolutely hate pickles and mustard.
Pickles and mustard, man. There's a whole world out there, bro.
God.
Oh.
Mayo. I don't like mayo that much. I'm starting to like.
Are you a Miracle Whip kid?
No.
No.
Anything.
Nothing dry, huh?
Like my burgers or sandwiches, dry or with butter. But the thing that made me start liking mayonnaise, Jack in the Box has the best mayonnaise.
Oh
Yeah.
Don't know why, but
Yeah.
slap
No,
it.
I get you. I get you. I actually, you say that, and my brain goes like card catalog, Jack in the Box mayo. Like I know that flavor profile, so I get it.
It's a garlic mayo.
Well, I mean, it's not an aioli.
No.
All right, so
Yeah.
again, but let's get the plugs in. Let's give a shout out to everybody you need to shout out to.
Yeah, yeah, definitely the band Bridge the Gap. If you guys, anybody out there wants to check us out at Bridge the Gap Band on Instagram, same thing for Facebook. Definitely want to shout out the restaurants, Sego Restaurant. So at Sego Estaurant. That one's in Kanab, Utah, east side of Zion National Park, and then the two on the west side are Anthera and Onu. Anthera restaurant, and then Onu Springdale. Anyway, my friends, family, the band. Stoked. Do you guys want to walk? Do you want to walk the halls? Is that weird?
No,
No,
no.
I say do it.
You want to?
I think you guys should like see this place. I think I can flip this camera. Tell me if I do it right.
You shut us
Let's
off.
go. Let's go back camera. Is it gonna let me do it? There we go. Okay. We got camera. I'm gonna go vertical for a minute just while I stand up. Okay, not to make anybody dizzy. So this is the band room. Just like tons of nostalgia, all these album covers, good riddance. Man, good stuff. All pummel. Some of these are members of the band, the Casualties. So this is where we sleep when we're here. Just got a couple pillows. No offense, Bill, but this old neck needs a good pillow. Those are our bedrooms. Here's a bunch of CDs that we get to jam. Some cool pure noise magazines. Here's our kitchen space. That's Ryan, drummer. How many did you get done, Ryan? 3 songs. So we're 3 songs in. So our little kitchen. Yeah, get back to work. They're actually being cool. They're waiting for me. I prepared some dinner, but this is Chad, singer.
What's up, everybody?
So you see these platinum and gold albums from Rise Against. All those were recorded here. Hot Water Music, Bouncing Souls. Man, isn't that a flashback? Warped Tour. Back when life was easier. Let's go. We're gonna go check out Studio A. So here's like the wall of pedals, all the amp heads. Like these are like some pretty cool people who've took these on tour and then thrown down and donated them. So again, here's all these albums all down these walls, all the bands, stickers. Only Crime, incredible band with Russ Rankin, and Bill was in that as well, Bill Stevenson. So here's our kit for this sesh. We're looking over. We got a couple Gretsch toms. We got a copper kick. We've got the brass beauty. Couple K crashes, Heisty. And what's kind of cool about this is that we use what sounds good. So sometimes it's not like the thing that we might use live,
Right.
but Hammond organ over there.
Yes.
Look at these. So Civil War era drums, for cool effects. One dude that records here, a little bit different genre, Gregory Alan Isaacoff.
I love him.
Yeah, dude, his folk stuff is serious. Let's go check out the control room. We're gonna go on the other side of the glass.
Oh, there's a name.
So this is a big SSL that they track all the live drums on in that big room. So the old 2-inch tape machine. I used to be a master at hitting the tones on those. Here we go, man. This is the beast.
Jeez.
The tracks. So then that's the monitor that we track off of. Lots of cool nostalgia shots. There's Bill himself behind the kit. And then we got a wall of expensive stuff here. So from Manleys to, I don't know, we could go through them all. A bunch of Neve channels. I don't know, super cool stuff. These guys these guys have invested lifetimes into this equipment. Should we check out the mixing and mastering room? This is Jason Livermore's lair. So come in here, some of that soundproofing, some of the cool stuff, his skate. Then we got this little cool mastering suite. So he can get tape sounds, put like natural tape sound back in it, and then all of his cool shit. I don't know where his there's his Grammy.
Oh,
He's a Grammy award. He keeps it front and center just to remind everyone that his opinion matters. Because when you win the kind of awards that he's won, you're allowed to have the final say. And then one last room that we'll go into. This is where we honestly do a lot of the vocals and the instrument tracking. Is this little guy, Studio B? So there's still an ISO booth on the other side back there, but this is where all the instrument magic happens. So
I never realized it was that big.
oh, we'll go to one more room. So more records and cool posters. We were honored to get our first record on the wall here. But down here we're gonna go. This is the final room where where they do a lot of they call it the studio crud, like adding effects or doing like acoustic work. Is this last room with that ISO booth and another piano and some killer instruments. But yeah, it's a pretty stellar place. Bill and Jason, Stefan Egerton was a part of it in the beginning. They've put a lifetime into this.
It's the house that Pummel bought.
Oh, we lost him.
Video.
Oh, I'm gonna flip it back around. Maybe I think it's loading. Let's see.
There he is.
Okay.
Boy.
Okay. So yeah, that's it. I don't know. You do better when you're in a place like this.
Yeah.
You have to.
There's a couple bands that I've been in where we were discussing making records there, and
Yeah.
At least one guy in the band was like, "Dude, I'm not ready. I'm not ready."
Yeah, it definitely pushes you to do it to the best of your ability.
I'm ready.
I'm not ready for you to be ready.
Yeah. You should figure it out, man. I'll make the connections.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Let's keep this check.
No.
This is Brandon right here. He's the newest. Are you in there, dude? Yeah, the newest member. So he actually was in the original band Unfold, played bass and guitar at different points in the band, and then when Jeff, the original guitar player that came back for Bridge the Gap, left, Losi stepped in, and it's just like literally getting the band back together.
Did he play in the band when you
band back together.
So this will be the first record that he's on.
Do that as
Yep.
bad.
Was he drinking milk?
Probably. He's kind of a weird dude like that. But anyway, well, yeah, I don't know if there's anything else you guys want to see or talk about. We should do this again,
Definitely.
and then we need to get out and play some shows together.
Dude, I would love to, man. I know the guys in Foreclosure definitely want to play with you guys. So
Awesome.
huh?
Yeah.
No.
Wow.
What?
Damn. Over 40 minutes.
I know. We'll stick around for a few minutes. We're gonna do our sign off, and then we'll
Okay.
take a few more minutes.
Okay.
All
Back
right.
to the green room. It's brown.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, brother. Wow.
Dude.
I 130 some odd episodes, man. This is one of my favorites.
I gotta say it's getting up there, man.
Yeah,
the last two have been really good.
Yeah.
Except for the choppiness, but
I want to say too
Yeah.
that looking at our video,
it looks
we're
a lot
using
better.
a different computer today, And thank you, Mindy, for letting us use your
Yeah.
laptop and just to test out if it was our Commodore
We're
64.
moving on from the Commodore now.
Yeah, the
Sorry,
glitchiness definitely stopped a little bit. I think that's just cellular phones, and they're in Colorado.
Yeah, okay.
But even the video is not as
Yeah, it sounds grainy and
yeah.
shitty. Like, well, I mean, come on, that computer's 15 years old.
yeah.
It's just
So
about as old as your,
Like
the boil on your back.
my wart on my ball.
The boil on your back.
But dude, the video is like it's so clear.
Yeah.
So thank you, Mindy, for letting us use your laptop. Next week, we have we were going to have Carl Morris from Exploited, UK Subs, Billy Club.
Just go through the
But
names.
his father passed away, so he's got to deal with some family stuff. So we're going to get him in probably November, December. So we don't know who we're going to have next week, but
That'll be a surprise for us,
yeah.
too.
Yeah, I'll know tomorrow, and then obviously on Wednesday when I usually do the promotions, start promoting the next show.
And we're going to start filming some promos and dropping some breadcrumbs, and we're going to get a little bit more program.
We did kind of do that on the first season,
Yeah,
but we
a
were
little
drinking
bit,
a lot.
a
that
lot.
season, and
All the time.
we've actually started to take this shit serious.
I know. What the fuck is wrong with Now we're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah. We got to hang out with Bridge the Gap a little bit, man. Shon, maybe he'll fucking knock us into the fucking.
He's already pushing me. My brain's spinning on what's for dinner.
Yeah. I want a sandwich when I get home.
I'll eat a sandwich right here. 5 fingers.
Shit. I thought you were gonna say you and mess play.
Oh, God. Nah, you and Jeff. That was a really fun hour and 40-something minutes.
Yeah.
Going on, too.
So once again, for the people that are watching live, thank you for watching us live. But again, we do this because we love it, and it's shows like this one, man. That we got a lot of information, a lot of cool stories, and and Sean's one of the coolest dudes I've ever met, man. Fucking, it's been a pleasure talking to him. So next week again, we'll be here.
We'll be at 7 o'clock, no matter what. Whether
You
you
know
like
what you
it or
should
not.
do? Come back next Monday.
Or fucking
Cunts.